Let's hunt some beasts. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be talking about the Beast Hunter of Ashbourne series by Lende, and I was sent ebooks for all three by the author a while back as review copies to do a review of, and I finally got around to starting the first one, just the Beast Hunters, and I read it and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm just going to binge and read all three. It was going really good and really quick until I had to stop the third one in the middle because I had other stuff that I had to get to for a live show. But then I finally gotten through and read all three and had a lot of fun with this series. So the three books are The Beast Hunters, The Beast Hunters Dark Sovereign, and The Beast Hunters Blood Oath. And these were not really what I was expecting based on the title, the covers, that sort of thing. I was expecting, group of beast hunters, just, traveling, fighting beasts, doing that kind of thing. And you get some of that in there, but the focus here is pretty different than what I was expecting. We open up with a girl, Era, who her family's killed by a beast, and she's rescued by these two beast hunters, Kendrick and Topper, who are a bit mysterious, and she ends up traveling with them as they go along, and that's kind of the impetus to our story. And we pretty immediately get a look into Era's life prior to this, and like the traumas that she's gone through, and so that plays a big part in her character and making her a very sympathetic character early on. And we do focus a lot on the characters, specifically their good traits, bad traits, the past. There's a lot of a bigger focus here, and instead of this being more like a monster of the week kind of thing, it really is for the whole trilogy. And it's not as clear in the first book, but it's clear it's going to something. But especially in the second two books, we're really ramping up to a big plot line instead of doing the monster of the week thing. Now, to be honest, I thought it was going to be like a monster of the week, that kind of thing. Oh, fun, let's go hunt beasts. Because, like I said, the description I feel like gives me a little bit of that. Things like there's bits of a bestiary in the background in the back of each book. There's the bestiary, and it's like looking and like, here's information on this, and it's from an in-world book that's written and that we see in the world as well. And so I was expecting more of that versus what this is, which is a very fast-paced and fun, with some really good serious moments as well, character-focused journey where the stakes are constantly getting higher as we go along. And so, while not what I expected, something I did find myself enjoying. The first book I had a few issues with, and I will note, and it was pretty good overall. I think part of it, like I said, is it was very different from what I was thinking, although I liked the characters. The big thing that annoyed me was toward the end of the first book, we do that thing where it's like, oh, I don't have time to explain this to you, you just have to trust me. And I'm like, really? I feel like you could just explain briefly, and it would probably be quicker than constantly saying that. And it's, that's just a personal thing that annoys me, and so that happened, and I kept just being like, come on. And it seemed like the author was trying to keep Topper and Kendrick, their pasts, more mysterious. Now, I assumed correctly that was because we're going to explore that more in further books. It still, I think, could have been a little bit better done in the first book, but like I said, it was still, I had a nice enough time and was interested enough that I decided to binge the trilogy, so not like that was a deal breaker by any means. Now, something else that's interesting about this trilogy in general, and just kind of the way that the author, Lende, writes, is it feels like this is just something, it wasn't like he's like, okay, I gotta look at, here's the specific structure, here's the tropes I want to use, here's kind of the story. This just looked like the author is like, you know what, I have some crazy ideas, let's put them into a story and let's just do a story. He plays kind of fast and loose with some tropes, with some things that you would expect to happen that happen very differently, or things that like normally you'd see or that you'd expect, and the opposite happens. And there are still some of the normal tropes in there, but a lot of it's really different. And you still see some things that you would expect and that do kind of happen in a way that you would think. But it's just really mixed around with people doing things in different ways, motivations being different. There were some things in all of the books, but especially in the second and third, where I'm just like, oh, this is the part where they're, oh no, we're gonna do the complete opposite and be like, hey, this is what we need to do. Okay, that's cool. And so there were a lot of fun things there. And the other thing I want to say, and I don't know if this is just me or not, but the feel of this gave me almost kind of like a video game feel. Like a very story-focused game, where it's like, yeah, we're doing some beast hunting, we're learning about some beasts, even though we're more focused on our like overall goals and missions, but also just some of the way that it was done, and especially in the first book, because we're introduced, there's this like serum basically that heightens their senses, and so when they need to look for clues and like investigate an area, they use this so that they can like check for extra things. And I'm just thinking of like Horizon Zero Dawn, where you use the focus for like looking for clues and all those different side missions. Is immediately what it made me kind of think. And then without giving any spoilers, we're introduced to a villain that like levels up basically based on some certain things. So kind of had that feel in some ways of like a video game, and I do feel like this would be a really fun game to play. There's some cool action scenes. There's some things I feel like that would lend really well to the video game format for this. So that's definitely not like a knock or a negative. Just something that I noticed that I thought was interesting is that it really did at points feel like this was designed as a video game almost. Although that didn't detract from the story at all. I do have to say, as far as the beasts go, we range from like kind of analog to something that you've heard of or know to just the most wild descriptions. Like, there's so many where it's describing like all of the different places this beast has eyes or mouths or all kinds of things. Like, a lot of the descriptions were just crazy. These crazy, like, different rules or, like, things that have been understood about these different kinds of beasts, where they're found, what they do. And just the feel of living in that world where, like, beasts are normal. Like, there are definitely the, like, way outside of the normal, the really dangerous, the really big, bad beasts. But it's also just, like, totally normal to have certain kinds of, like, creatures that are just around. And so it really did add to the world and the feel of it, even though we're mostly focused on like specific areas and parts. What we're doing, we're not as much like traveling, fighting different beasts there. We're mostly focused on different specific areas. But just the way a lot of that was handled with the world building. We get little excerpts from the bestiary or some other texts throughout the trilogy, and it's kind of learning more about this and that. And there's all of these just little things put in there. And speaking of the like how it all ties together at the end, I do think the author did a really good job with tying up a lot of things, but still leaving some questions, and then setting up there are some things that definitely makes it seem like, although this is very much a complete trilogy, that there may be more books in this world, maybe a follow-up trilogy, because there's definitely still some things going on. There's definitely still more to be explored, and so it toes that line really, really well with wrapping up enough for a satisfying story, but not wrapping up everything too neatly so that you're not still thinking about it. It's like, oh, everything's resolved, I don't care anymore. You can get that sometimes, and you don't get that here. There's still some questions, there's still some interesting things to think about, and very satisfying ending. A lot of great action in this, and just, like I said, really interesting plays on expected behavior in a lot of situations, and just seems like this was Christopher Lende just going in and having fun writing something that he wanted to write. I think that shows, and this was a series that I had fun with and enjoyed. It just was something different, very quick to get through, and that I had a fun time with. Not anything that's like, mind-blowing, but just really solid and fun series, and sometimes it's nice to have the just solid, fun series that you can get through quickly. Definitely something I'll be watching out for, because I would definitely check out more books in this world, or in general, check out whatever Christopher Lende decides to write next, because I had a fun time with this one, and definitely worth checking this trilogy out. Overall, though, those are really my thoughts on the Beast Hunter of Ashbourne series. Let me know, and I suppose I was thinking this was a trilogy, but it is called a series, so I wonder if there are going to be more, and maybe it's not a trilogy. It felt like a trilogy. I don't know. That's what I was calling it. For now, but I'll have to find out if I'm wrong or not. Let me know in the comments if you know. Otherwise, make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the ways that we do a Discord if you want to chat books, whether these books, other books, any books, really anything at all. It is a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And, of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.